What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Fiction Tea Reviews. By my self-published book Rain. It is a psychological thriller about a group of young adults in a psych ward who get this new counselor that's trying to understand their mental illnesses and trying to understand them, but then the counselor shortly learns that these kids might not be crazy and that this place is actually making them crazy, all the while trying to figure out what's going on with him and his psychological demons and his problems. If you would like more information about this book, be sure to hit the link in the description box below. Supporting me and buying these books actually helps me. I know what you're thinking. It's been a long time since I made reviews. I actually moved and then I had to get situated. I did drop a monologue of 500 Days of Summer, and I will be back to consistency, which is every week, most likely once a week. I'm going to try to double up on more than once a week, but just to be safe, it's going to be one to two times a week. And yeah, let's get back into the review. So today I'm going to be reviewing Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a 90s classic TV show. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a 1997 horror genre supernatural drama mystical fantasy. So teenager Buffy Summers is the Slayer, a lone young woman chosen in each generation to be bestowed with mystical powers to fight demons, beings descended from the old one, evil inhabitants on Earth before humans who hope to rule. Buffy ends up going to this new school hoping to be free of her Slayer duties after burning down her old school gym. Unfortunately, her Slayer duties continued and she teams up with her librarian and her new mates, and they take on demons, monsters, and more mystical creatures. So in the beginning of this episode, it kind of opens with this typical thing where we have these two horny teenagers who are going to this place so that they can fool around, and then one of them ends up being a vampire, and that is kind of the intro to all of this. And we're introduced to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I love everything about the style of this film, admittedly, because I'm a 90s kid, so I love the style. I love Buffy. I love the classicness of this whole thing, the fashion, the normalcy of it all. Really, it's not performative. It's very laid back and very relatable and authentic. So she meets Xander, who immediately love at first sight. He falls in love with her literally at first sight. Then she meets the popular girl who tries to test Buffy's coolness. And Buffy soon learns that she doesn't really want to be friends with somebody like this girl who thinks that she's like the center of the universe. Then she meets the librarian Gals, who I love. So the librarian Gals, he kind of pulls out this vampire book, and she's like, she already knows what's gonna happen because what happened to her last school, but she's not really on board at first because she's like, I don't really want to do this, and she storms out, but then something happens which kind of triggers her and leads her back into it, where a dead body falls out of this locker room and these girls screaming. By the way, the girl that screams, I remember she's Lynn from Girlfriend. She did a really good job at her screaming scene. Like, that's probably one of the best screaming performances I've seen from someone who's not even a main character. And I've seen main character screams that weren't even that good. Later on, Xander actually finds out that Buffy is a vampire slayer, and Gals basically tells her, like, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to help you go into this vampire slaying life. And later on, we're introduced to Angel, this mysterious brute guy who just kind of shows up and then tells her about the harvest and occasionally disappears. And we're also introduced to the vampire master who's like, I need food, I need to eat, I need to feast. And he's like, bring me something young. And that someone ends up being Willow, their friend, Buffy and Xander's friend. I feel like this first episode was like really enjoyable and it really pulled you in. And Buffy's fighting scenes are just great. They kind of go straight to the point. We met the main character as well, got to the plot and story idea all in this one episode without feeling rushed or dragged out too much. Good pilot. So too, Buffy goes after the new enemy with the help of Xander, and man oh man, did the popular girl get what she deserved. I feel like the popular girl is like one of those girls where she just needs to get punched in the face. Like, sometimes bullies, you have to punch them. You have to show them that they're not just gonna boss anyone around, and sometimes you gotta stand up to your bullies, and if that means hitting them one good time, I promise you, someone who is making fun of or bullying somebody, you hit them one good time, they'll never bully you again. Yeah. Or stand up to them, and if that's not enough, then some people do have to get punched in the face, and I feel like she's one of those people. Pull them down from their high horse. It was amused too when Willow told her to push the button and it like deleted all of her information. That's what she get. I mean, it was well deserved after she tried to play and degrade the other girl. Like, she deserved it. On there ends up being a battle, and the librarian tells them that there is more to come. If you hear something in the background, that's my cat. He's cleaning himself very loudly. Besides the traffic, the ongoing traffic that's going on. Episode 3, which Buffy tries out for cheerleading. She meets this girl who basically tries to take her out because she's trying to get in the same league, and the girl ends up being a witch who they end up fighting, and with the help of her mom who has switched bodies with her, they end up defeating her. And I thought that was a pretty interesting episode because you're in the beginning, you're thinking this is going to be about vampires, strictly only about vampires because of the title, because of the pilot episode, but it gets a little, Episode 4, Teacher's Pets. So Buffy and friends have to take on this gigantic insect, and Xander of course falls for this insect who he thinks is just a teacher. We get to see, I got this relatability from Gauss, when he talks about he talks about every day it's the same thing when I wake up and come to this place, and I'm just like, exactly, I feel the same way. Every day. In this episode, we also see how much Willow really, really likes Xander, and how he's just so focused and into Buffy that he doesn't really notice how much Willow likes him. Ends up killing this insect, and she goes full blown wild, slashing this thing. Even Xander is like, whoa. And then mysterious man shows up, and then he disappears. But this was a very suspenseful episode, I will say. Episode 5, Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. Buffy meets a new guy, and they go out on his date with him. By the way, I do want to say this guy was the sweetest guy. She ends up whooping and killing this vampire, of course, as she does. She does this really cool, like, kick, and I'm like, awesome. She's killing it. Of course, the popular girl is jealous because she tries to go after the handsome guy that Buffy is going on a date with, and the guy just completely not even into her, and I thought it was hilarious because it just brings her back down to reality again of her thinking that she's the best, and it's just, that girl is pathetic. Episode 6, The Pack. Xander is actually possessed by these hyena laughing demonized beings, and they have to help him, and eventually they do, and they get him out of that whole thing. But I thought it was really creative. This is one of the more creative episodes, and how they related the hyenas to people and did the whole possession thing. I thought it was really cool. It makes you think that maybe this should have been called something different besides Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is a fitting name, but like, it's also, you wouldn't think that it would be about all these other things. So episode 7 is about Mysterious Angel. He shows up, and these 3 vampires are kind of after him. Gauss tells Buffy and pals what's about to go down, what's about. Close up of kind of like the vampire's mask and how they look, and they do remind me of those masks that you can buy from either like Walmart or the dollar store, but at the same time I do feel like the makeup and the design of the mask look really, really good to me. And not just for that era, just like in a general sense, I feel like the costume design as far as the makeup goes with the mask was great. And Angel and Buffy end up sharing this passionate kiss, but we do learn that Angel, this mysterious guy, secretly is a vampire, and we're all shocked. Even Buffy, she's like, what? Yeah, of course Xander, who's been jealous this entire time, is like, he's a vampire, okay, slay him, kill him. Please don't tell me that you're in love with this guy. He ends up getting framed, and Buffy assumes that and thinks that he's the one that went after her mom. End up saying their goodbyes. Oh, episode 8 was really good. Episode 8 was really good because it was very relatable to the times at that time, but just in general, especially now, like when people are meeting people off the internet, but in this case it was kind of more like catfish because Willow had never seen this person, and she falls for this person that she's talking to on the internet, and Buffy is like, do you even know what he looks like, what he sounds like? Like, not at all. Nothing. Opens up this episode with the enemy, the villain, performing these rituals, and Giles and the other lady, they kind of team up. And I also love the fact that Giles is just not really into technology, and he's like, you know, more of like a book person. And the other lady who's actually in this, I forget what her name is, but this is what she looks like. She's more tech savvy, and she's like, you know, it's there is some importance in technology, and he's just very like into his stuck in his ways, and like, no, I like books, I prefer books, I don't like this technology stuff. And I love how the two kind of merge together to actually play a pivotal role in this and serve a really good purpose and what they're doing. Also, Giles and Miss Calendar are getting very close. That's her name, Miss Calendar. They're getting very, very close. Of course, Buffy takes the demons out, as she does. Episode 9, The Puppet Show. Oh, this right here is one of my favorite episodes. I love a good demon puppet. There's just... I think it's the era that I grew up in, like, just watching a bunch of movies about demon dolls being possessed, Chucky and the Puppet Master, and the dolls, and just... something about this. And I love the fact that the doll had like a very savvy and just had its own personality. Like, it wasn't just like the doll that's being possessed. He had like a personality, which was really funny. This was one of my favorite episodes thus far. I love the dummy. He was very humorous, and we learned that he's not that bad of a puppet, and he gets Buffy and he gets her pals to help him kind of escape that, and he kills in the end, and he's able to be released. So 10 Nightmares was actually a really good episode too. It was about them having visions of their fears. Xander was afraid of clowns. I thought that was a really good scene where he was being chased down by the clowns. Buffy and her dad, and her dad kind of turning to her and saying that you're a bad daughter, I don't know why we have you, and her turning into a vampire and being buried alive. Willow being embarrassed on stage in front of everybody. And Giles, what was his? I don't remember. Oh, Giles, him kind of forgetting everything. I feel like after this episode, when it got to episode 10, that's when I really started to see like a strong improvement in this show. And I was like, they've gotten a lot better, like, as the episodes progressed. But once it got to episode 10, I was like, this is really good. And out of mind, out of sight, Buffy and Cordelia, the popular girl, get kidnapped by an invisible girl who's kind of seeking revenge. No one paid attention to her, and now she's come back with hell to pay. To be honest, I don't know if I would have helped Cordelia. I think I would have probably let the demon get her. But Angel comes and saves Giles and Xander, and capturing the girl, and the FBI come and get her. And Cordelia, of course, thanks Buffy and them, but of course she goes back to her ways when her boyfriend shows up, and he's like, why are you talking to these freaks? And they are like, you know, she's gonna be who she is at the end of the day. But in the end, we get this cliffhanger where the invisible girl ends up in like this cult class. And one thing I also want to note is that I love how in the ending of each episode there's a cliffhanger. There's always something happening, and you know, you never know if these people are going to come back on the next. It's like a to be continued. Episode 12, the final episode, Prophecy Girl. Buffy, as we know, been whooping him hard. There's an earthquake, and the demon monster is executed as Earth erupts. Xander ends up confessing his love, but is shut down because Buffy's just like, you're my friend, I don't really feel the same way. And he's like, well, try. And she's just like, you know, you can't force yourself to try to like and be with someone if you're not feeling that way. Then Xander tries to go to Willow and asks to be axed out, and Willow's just like, I'm not second, sloppy seconds. I'm not second after you just got denied by Buffy. Now you're trying to come to me. No, thank you. And Buffy ends up overhearing Giles talking to Miss Calendar about if Buffy does go after the master, she's going to die. Like, that's her fate. So she decides she's going to drop out of this. She wants nothing to do with it. But of course, she gets pulled back in, and she decides, I'm going to do this. The big boss, and she ends up being killed, but she ends up being revived thanks to Xander. He did not give up, and she comes back stronger than ever. stronger than ever and takes him out and knocks him out, and he hits the table and dies. And I like the effects of when he died. It was kind of like this black mist coming off his body, but it looked like flies at the same time, and he just turned to skeleton. And it ends with them deciding to go out and party. This was a pretty good season. There wasn't much to say that it was like the craziest best season that I've ever seen, best show that I've ever seen, but I think there definitely is room for improvement in this show. Of course, this is an old classic 90s show, so I can say I wish this was changed and that would change, but I probably will wait until like I finish all of the seasons. Most likely I won't be going in order, so after this there's not going to be season 2. I'm going to be talking about a completely different show. That's just how I do things, and I do think this show will improve as we go along with the review. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment below and let me know, what did you think about Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Did you like this show? Are you into this show? Also, don't forget to get you a copy of my book. Don't forget to get you a copy of my book, Rain, which is also here. So, see you all next time. Peace out. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.